In today's video, we're doing a deep dive into the cost of living in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, so stay tuned. What's up, everybody? I'm Rachael Hadidsaz. I'm a realtor with Crye-Leike in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I post new videos every week about all things real estate in the Murfreesboro area. Today, I'm sharing with you some facts and statistics about the cost of living in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and why you may consider moving here. Before we begin though, let me know down in the comments if you've ever visited Murfreesboro or if you're planning to move here. All right then, on to the cost of living in Murfreesboro. When I was doing the research for this, I wanted to know, why have we seen such insane population growth in Murfreesboro within the last 10 years? We've seen 22.5% increase in people, from 109,524 people in 2010 to 141,344 people in 2020. Y'all, we've been burping babies or what? Be sure to stick around to the end of the video so that I'll answer that question. Also, if you want to have a copy of the summary of all the statistics that I mentioned in this video, check out the link in the description to a Google spreadsheet. To start off with, let's compare Murfreesboro, Tennessee to the national average. You'll notice that on some parameters we're pretty similar to the national average, but on others we're much more affordable. Nationally, we see a median household income of $53,482, which Murfreesboro is just under that at $50,337. However, if you look at the cost of gas and food, you'll see that we're much more affordable. At the time of this video taping, the national average for a gallon of gas is $1.79, whereas Murfreesboro is about $1.34 a gallon. If you're looking at milk, nationally we see $3.17 a gallon compared to $2.80 a gallon for Murfreesboro. Nationally, we're looking at $2.45 for a white loaf of bread. Murfreesboro is not that far off at $2.42. Murfreesboro is a little higher than the national average on utilities. Whereas nationally, you're looking at about $1.59 for the average. In Murfreesboro, you'll see about $1.65 for combined electric and water. Since most households have internet these days, I went ahead and looked at the price of that as well, where we are doing slightly better than the national average. Murfreesboro comes in at $63.92 for a speed of 60 megabits per second versus $65.15 nationally. We're also holding a slight edge in terms of childcare costs. If you ask me, putting your child through daycare should not cost as much as a community college, but that seems to be where we're at these days pretty much anywhere. Murfreesboro costs about $787.50 for a full month of childcare versus the national average at $954.16. We're also lower in terms of housing, whether you're looking to rent or buy. Renting in Murfreesboro can cost around $910 a month, versus nationally at $1,361.71. However, if you're looking to buy, Murfreesboro's median home price currently stands at around $270,000 versus nationally at $300,000. So we are more affordable, but does that mean that you can find a job here? Well, I'm so glad you asked, because yes, the job growth outlook here is excellent. While the current national average for unemployment pre-COVID-19 stands at 3.8%, Murfreesboro stands at 2.8% on unemployment. So all that's interesting, but how does Murfreesboro, Tennessee compare with a similar sized city on the other side of the country? For this comparison, I chose Pasadena, California, because it's almost identical in size to Murfreesboro in terms of population, at 141,371 people. At first glance, I noticed that Pasadena's median household income is significantly higher than Murfreesboro at $76,284. But if you look a little bit closer, you'll notice that Murfreesboro is more affordable to live in almost every other aspect. The price of gas in Pasadena, for example, is currently standing at $2.45 a gallon. That's versus the $1.34 that we're seeing right now in Murfreesboro. When I looked at the price of food, utilities, and internet, those were all pretty similar when comparing Murfreesboro, Tennessee to Pasadena, California. I was really curious about childcare. Let me know in the comments if you're a California resident and they do something to decrease the cost of childcare, because I noticed that that was significantly lower than the national average. In Pasadena, California, you're looking at paying $650 a month on average for childcare versus that $787 that we're looking at here in Murfreesboro. Of course, housing is another story. Those are astronomical differences. The median price of a home right now in Pasadena is $970,000. That's compared to the $270,000 for a home here in Murfreesboro. Even if you're just renting in Pasadena, that's still going to set you back $2,500 a month. That's compared to the $910 per month here in Murfreesboro on average. I also looked at Pasadena's unemployment rate, and they're standing above the national average at about 4.4% at the time before the COVID-19 crisis. So now we know that Murfreesboro not only has a lower cost of living than a similar size city in California, we also are beating the national average. Next, I wanted to look at comparing the cost of living here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee to the city nearest, which is Nashville, Tennessee. While Nashville's population is nearly 5 times the size of Murfreesboro, you're looking at a significantly more affordable city here in Murfreesboro. Just for a gallon of gas in Nashville, they're looking at paying $2.25 a gallon. That's compared to that $1.34 a gallon that we're seeing right now in Murfreesboro. Again, food, utilities, and internet were not significantly different between Murfreesboro and Nashville. The cost of childcare, though, is pretty high in Nashville compared to Murfreesboro. They're about $300 more at $1,050 per month. The cost of housing in Nashville is not a big surprise. That's also higher. The median price of a home in Nashville right now is $339,000. Even if you want to rent, you're still looking at about $1,650 per month. On a brighter note, though, the jobs market in Nashville is still strong. Their unemployment rate beats the national average at 3.2%. But just looking at those numbers, it's no wonder some people may prefer to live outside the city where it's significantly more affordable. But that's not all. We've only just begun to understand why Murfreesboro has had such a boom in population in the last 10 years. There's one more factor I wanted to tell you about, and that's the future job growth prediction. And let me tell you, it is all about the jobs, baby. While the future job growth prediction for the U.S. as a whole stands at about 33.5%, Murfreesboro is looking at 56.6%. Nashville got some reason to brag too, because their future job growth prediction is still pretty high at 48.2%. And to top it all off, Murfreesboro is located just 30 miles outside of Nashville. So maybe you're part of that insane job growth in Nashville, but you don't want to live right in Nashville. Or maybe you just want to be able to afford more house for the money. Living in Murfreesboro means that you get to not only enjoy all the features that Nashville has to offer, you're also going to be able to live in a city that's more affordable and has its own distinct identity. So what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description to get my free Murfreesboro relocation guide. While you're at it, check out another video I made about where you should live in Murfreesboro. Give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and click the notification bell so you'll know when I have new content posted. I've got some really important information to give you in the next few weeks about the Murfreesboro real estate market, so I'll see you at the next video.